بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Welcome to all of you, brothers and sisters, watching us on Ahlul Bayt TV, to yet another episode of Steps to Perfection, the program where we attempt to improve our Quranic recitation and our Quran understanding, inshallah. Um, as usual, we begin with a Quran recitation. Today we'll be starting from the beginning of from the beginning of the 16th Juz'u, Surah Al-Kahf, ayah number 75. I'll make a recitation. We'll give some pieces of, inshallah, advice which you may find useful. Then we have, inshallah, our participants who will also be reciting. And when they will recite, we will give them some feedback, and that feedback could well be applicable to many of our dear viewers, inshallah. So we begin with the recitation, Surah Al-Kahf, ayah number 75, the beginning of the 16th Juz'u. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال ألم أقل لك إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا قال إن سألتك عن شيء بعدها فلا تصاحبني قد بلغت من لدني عذرا فانطلقا حتى إذا أتيا أهل قرية استطعما أهلها فأبوا أن يضيفوهما فوجدا فيها جدارا يريد أن ينقض فأقامه قال لو شئت لاتخذت عليه أجرا قال هذا فراق بيني وبينك سأنبئك بتأويل ما لم تستطع عليه صبرا أما السفينة فكانت لمساكين يعملون في البحر فأردت أن أعيبها وكان وراءهم ملك يأخذ كل سفينة غصبا وأما الغلام فكان أبواه مؤمنين فخشينا أن يرهقهما طغيانا وكفرا فأردنا أن يبدلهما ربهما خيرا منه زكاة وأقرب رحما وأما الجدار فكان لغلامين يتيمين في المدينة وكان تحته كنز لهما وكان أبوهما صالحا فأراد ربك أن يبلغا أشدهما ويستخرجا كنزهما رحمة من ربك وما فعلته عن أمري ذلك تأويل ما لم تسطع عليه صبرا ويسألونك عن ذي القرنين قل سأتلو عليكم منه ذكرا صدق الله العلي العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الأمين وصدق بذلك مولانا أمير المؤمنين والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. we discussed on previous episodes that the approach and the mindset which we might have and we need to have when we come to Quran recitation is that of trying to understand the meaning and that of trying to sense and feel the meaning and that of trying to convey the meaning through our recitation, whether it's just to ourselves or to others. So if others are reading with us or listening with us, then when we recite, we should have that mindset of attempting to convey the meaning. Of course, the question there is, well, we don't understand the meaning all the time. Absolutely fine. That's understandable. However, there are some ayat which are clearly understandable, especially the ayat which give glad tidings when it talks about Jannah and thawab and rewards for the muttaqeen. And there are so many of them. On the other side, the ayat which warns of the harsh and severe punishments for those who disobey, for those who are who disregard the values and the morals and the pristine principles of morality and respect and dignity. These are the ayat which talks about Jahannam, those who are willingly decide to become a disobedient, disbelieving in those morals and in those principles and in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of all worlds. Now, here is a hadith which is extremely concise, but also very, very telling. The hadith is from Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, attributed to Amir al-Mu'mineen. And the hadith says that when you are reciting Quran, بَيِّنْهُ بَيَانًا بَيِّنْهُ بَيَانًا وَلَا تَهُذَّهُ هَذَّ الشِّعْرِ وَلَا تَنْثُرْهُ نَثْرَ الرَّمْلِ. Very descriptive, and I'll give the translation very shortly. ولكن اقرع به القلوب القاسية ولا يكونن هم أحدكم آخر السورة. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, بينه بيانا, clarify it, elaborate and explain it when you're reciting the Quran. And how do we clarify it? Well, if there is glad tidings, we use a relevant way to convey. And when there is sadness and sorrowfulness, when there are punishments and severe repercussions for those who disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we also attempt to convey that. وَلَا تَهُذَّهُ هَذَّ الشِّعْرِ. Do not just run through it and, like throw the words out, just like you would recite a poem. وَلَا تَنْثُرْهُ نَثْرَ الرَّمْلِ. And do not sprinkle it. Do not sprinkle the words as if you are sprinkling sand. Do not just, throw them away and just spread them around like you are spreading some sand in your hands. No organization, no order, no sequence, no eloquence, no sense of feeling of what you are reading and what you are reciting. وَلَا تَنْثُرْهُ نَثْرَ الرَّمْلِ. Do not spread it like spreading sand. You know how you have, a little bit of sand in your hand, and you just hold it there, and then you just spread it. It's very random, and it just goes everywhere, and it's not organized. It's not ordered properly. Excuse me. That we shouldn't be reciting Quran like this. There should be order. There should be structure. There should be sequence. There should be fluency. There should be a level of responsible, appropriate melody. ولا تنثره نثر الرمل ولكن اقرع به القلوب القاسية. Read Quran in such a way that the hard hearts, the hearts which have gone hard because of the sins and because of the distance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that those hearts would be would be awakened again, would be revived through your Quran recitation. Now, this is a principle that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, Ali ibn Abi Talib, is giving us. How you implement that principle is really up to you. There are some guidelines, and there are, of course, some already well established Quran reciters. But the beauty of it is that if we can comprehend the principles and if we can work within those guidelines of what is permissible and what is not permissible, as we said before, using music, for example, alongside Quran is definitely an issue. Using a certain types of melodies which are inappropriate, which are beyond what is defined and what is allowed for Quran is not allowed. But understanding those principal guidelines, when we sit down and attempt to recite Quran, we bring this mindset to our forehead, to the forefront of our head, and try to think of our recitation in a way that would soften, awaken, revive the hard hearts, that it might be my heart and it might be the heart of those who are listening to me. وَقْرَعْ بِهِ الْقُلُوبَ الْقَاسِيَةِ وَلَا يَكُونَنَّ هَمَّ أَحَدِكُمْ آخِرَ السُّورَةِ. And that's a very specific advice. Your objective and aim of your recitation must not be the end of the surah or the end of the segment that you are reciting. Let me run through this. I want to read as much as possible and get on with it. Well, that may give you some thawab, but the way that Quran recitation would leave an impact on us is that we would not recite too quickly. We would not hasten our recitation. We would not treat our recitation of the words as we would treat a bit of sand in our hand, where we throw it and spread it without sequence and organization and structure and fluency and melody and order. High principles, yes, high level principles indeed, but what we're trying to do now is bring these principles and understand them and try to implement them as we have done in previous episodes, and inshallah we will do going forward. So this hadith is very telling, and it's really a defined guidelines for Quran recitation attributed to Amir al-Mu'mineen. بَيِّنْهُ بَيَانًا, clarify it with your recitation. وَلَا تَهُذَّهُ هَذَّ الشِّعْرِ, do not just read it just as you would read a poem. Put the words out like that. وَلَا تَنْثُرْهُ نَثْرَ الرَّمْ, do not spread it disorganized and randomly like you would spread sand. وَلَا تَنْثُرْهُ نَثْرَ الرَّمْلِ وَلَكِنْ اقْرَعْ بِهِ الْقُلُوبَ الْقَاسِيَةِ, awaken the hard hearts of people with it, soften the hearts of people with it. وَلَا يَكُونَنَّ هَمَّ أَحَدِكُمْ آخِرَ السُّورَةِ. 4 principles, and your objective, this is the final one, your objective must not be, when am I going to finish the surah? Rather, take your time and think and contemplate and ponder and read in order and read with a nice, beautiful voice as much as you can, and read with sorrowful meaning and feeling. Insha'Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would allow us to be of those who adhere to the guidelines and the teachings of Ahlul Bayt and the teachings of the Holy Quran. Now, brothers and sisters, who would like to go first to make a recitation?
Can I go first, inshallah?
Of course, please go ahead.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا مكنا له في الأرض وآتيناه من كل شيء سببا فأتبع سببا حتى إذا بلغ مغرب الشمس وجدها تغرب في عين حمئة ووجد فوجدها قوما قلنا يا ذا القرنين إما أن تعذب وإما أن تتخذ فيهم حسنا قال أما من ظلم فسوف نعذبه ثم يرد إلى ربه فيعذبه عذابا نكرا وأما من آمن وعمل صالحا فله جزاء الحسنى وسنقول له من أمرنا يسرا ثم أتبع سببا حتى إذا بلغ مطلع الشمس وجدها تطلع على قوم لم نجعل لهم من دونها سترا كذلك وقد أحطنا بما لديه خبرا ثم أتبع سببا حتى إذا بلغ بين السدين وجد من دونهما قوما لا يكادون يفقهون قولا قالوا يا ذا القرنين إن يأجوج ومأجوج مفسدون في الأرض فهل نجعل لك خرجا على أن تجعل بيننا وبينهم سدا قال ما مكني فيه ربي خير فأعينوني بقوة أجعل بينكم وبينهم ردما آتوني زبر الحديد حتى إذا ساوى بين الصدفين قال انفخوا حتى إذا جعله نارا قال آتوني أفرغ عليه قطرا فما استطاعوا أن يظهروه وما استطاعوا له نقبا صدق الله العلي العظيم.
الله العلي العظيم. أحسنت. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. A very beautiful recitation. Ahsant, dear brother Ali Akbar Duji. A very nice and well-ordered recitation. And I certainly feel it, and I hope that the viewers would also agree with me that when you recite Quran with a beautiful voice, that has a more greater impact, and that penetrates the hearts, and it sits in your heart more, and you can interact and feel the words more. So beautiful recitation. A little bit of advice, and that's something that would be useful to do, is you have 2 or 3 seconds between each segment that you are reciting. And that's why utilize these 2-3 seconds to skim over the next ayah, skim over the next segment with your eyes without reading it. That will prepare you so that when you embark on the recitation, your eyes have already seen that segment. There'll be no surprises. Because your recitation is very good, your clarity is excellent, your adherence to ahkam is more than excellent, it's very good. But because there are some unusual words, and they're bound to be in the Holy Quran, the way to get over that is before you start the recitation of that segment, you look at the ayah, you look at the segment with your eyes, give it 2 seconds, no more than that, and you'll be absolutely fine. Great recitation. Thank you.
Jazakallah.
Who's next?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال هذا رحمة من ربي فإذا جاء وعد ربي جعله دكا وكان وعد ربي حقا وتركنا بعضهم يومئذ يموج في بعض ونفخ في الصور فجمعناهم جمعا وعرضنا جهنم يومئذ للكافرين عرضا الذين كانت أعينهم في غطاء عن ذكري وكانوا لا يستطيعون سمعا أفحسب الذين كفروا أن يتخذوا عبادي من دوني أولياء إنا أعتدنا جهنم للكافرين نزلا قل هل ننبئكم بالأخسرين أعمالا الذين ضل سعيهم في الحياة الدنيا وهم يحسبون أنهم يحسنون صنعا أولئك الذين كفروا بآيات ربهم ولقائه فحبطت أعمالهم فلا نقيم لهم يوم القيامة وزنا ذلك جزاؤهم جهنم بما كفروا واتخذوا آياتي ورسلي هزوا إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات كانت لهم جنات الفردوس نزلا خالدين فيها لا يبغون عنها حولا قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفد البحر قبل أن تنفد كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مددا قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا صدق الله العلي العظيم.
صدق الله العلي العظيم. أحسنت. ما شاء الله. Beautiful recitation. Very well structured and very nicely and fluently recited. Clarity of the letters, excellent, really good. And your adherence to ahkam is very good. Of course, there's always room for improvement, but your adherence so far has been very good. Ahsant, very, very good recitation, mashallah. Next, please.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كافها يا عين صاد ذكر رحمة ربك عبده زكريا إذ نادى ربه نداء خفيا قال رب إني وهن العظم مني واشتعل الرأس شيبا ولم أكن بدعائك رب شقيا وإني خفت الموالي من ورائي وكانت امرأتي عاقرا فهب لي من لدنك وليا يرثني ويرث من آل يعقوب واجعله رب رضيا. يا زكريا إنا نبشرك بغلام اسمه يحيى لم نجعل له من قبل سميا. قال رب أنا يكون لي غلام وكانت امرأتي عاقرا وقد بلغت من الكبر عتيا. قال كذلك قال ربك هو علي هين وقد خلقتك من قبل ولم تك شيئا. قال رب اجعل لي آية. قال آيتك ألا تكلم الناس 3 ليال سويا. فخرج على قومه من المحراب فأوحى إليهم أن سبحوا بكرة وعشيا. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
العظيم. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله الله أكبر. أحسنت. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Beautiful recitation, good organization of the ayat, a good start as well. It would be good to make sure that you give us the variety in showing us your voice. So sometimes you push your voice to slightly higher notes if you can. Start from a deeper note just to give the variety, and that will add to the beauty. But generally, a beautiful recitation. I would like to thank our dear brothers today, Ali Akbar Duji, Muhammad Mahdi Rubai, for a beautiful recitation, and brothers and sisters watching us on Ahlul Bayt TV. Until the next episode, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.